I'd like to talk a little bit about our Everything in Place project. The project has been designed to help and encourage us to talk about planning for end of life and future care needs. It's far easier to think about future plans and care needs when we're fit and well. The difficult decision becomes if we have a diagnosis or something changes that makes that conversation much harder. So what this booklet does is encourage you to think about things, wills, power of attorney, funeral plans, and actually encourage you to have conversations with your family so that actually everybody understands what your needs and what your wishes are. The difficult part sometimes is thinking about those wishes, and it's not always easy, but we want to use the document and use the tools to try and encourage you just to open that little bit of your brain that actually would allow you to think about what would be important to you. We know that 95% of the families that fall out at the time of a funeral often happens because the plan wasn't clear, because there was a family fight over where we should be. Do we want cremation? Do we want burial? Families don't know and they're not sure. If you have a clear plan, they might not like your plan, but actually they will know that it's your plan, and we hope that that then allows them to respect your wishes. So we do know that it's much easier to have these conversations while you're fit and well. Most of us have a pretty good idea of what we would want to happen in certain situations, whether it was in a hospital situation, whether it was a care situation, end of life and particular treatment sort of situation, or whether it was our funeral plans. We know what we want. The difficulty is that we don't tell anybody and that we don't want to have these conversations because actually it's too difficult. And that's right, it is too difficult. We know it's too difficult, and we know because it makes people upset, people are superstitious, and people will not, if I write my will, I'll die. We need to get over these taboos and the taboo words. And the taboo words are dead, death, dying. Very, very difficult for conversations. We often hear about passing over, passing away, pushing up the daisies, anything apart from actually the fact that somebody has died. And you know, it's the most natural thing in the world. We're born and we die. Hopefully we have a good innings in between. And what I hear is people saying, what happened? Somebody died. What went wrong? Not necessarily anything went wrong. Sometimes we just get old, we get worn out and die. And unfortunately, sometimes younger people get worn out and die. And we have to accept this and make death a normal part of life. So the project goes out into the community and encourages the conversations, helps us to share the information and plan, as I said, while we're fit and well. The reality and the difficulty comes when we already have a diagnosis, or we're faced with a diagnosis of a life-limiting illness. And actually sometimes I do believe there's an age point where it becomes difficult to think about it just because it's more imminent. So it's really important to have the conversations early. If you do have a diagnosis, if you are feeling vulnerable about the conversations, then I would suggest that you just work through this document, look through the titles and pick the bit that's interesting to you first. Certainly don't read all of it, don't plough your way through it, because it wouldn't help, and that's not what it's designed to do. It's designed to support you and help you. So pick the bit that's important and look at that. Okay. So the booklet was developed on the back of community sessions, and we took the information out, and what we found was that every session that we did, we were asking the same questions over and over again. What does this mean? What does that mean? What happens if? So we came back and we put it all into a document to put everything in one place. Then this document, if it's filled in properly and used properly, will hold all of your information.